I don't know what happened there, so I guess this is going to be video 3. As I was saying, I have a nickname that I've acquired or earned over the years, if you will. Shifty. Originally started, and I was given that name by a teammate and close friend of mine named Kirby. And gave me that nickname because I was shifty. I mean, on the football field, I'm hard to tackle. I was hard to tackle. I still feel I'm pretty hard to tackle. I'm 35 now, but I was given that nickname right around the age 24, I think. 2009. So 24, 25, about 10 years ago. It is now October 21st, 2019, and ironically enough, I was given that nickname back in like August of 2009 or September 2009. So yeah, I've been shifty for about 10 years. That nickname resonates with me in several different areas of my life, one being sports, 2 being rap. A lot of people know the rapper Shifty McVeigh. I'm certainly a rap fan. I'm not a rapper, but I do like to freestyle and do a little improv here and there. So if you want to call that rapping, sure. I actually uploaded a rap video today. Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to get off topic. So, essentially, sometimes we give ourselves names, sometimes we're given nicknames. At birth, we're all given a birth name, and that comes with a birth date. We don't have choice in that. We don't have free choice or free will in any of that. Unless you choose to shift and maybe change your name or become a follower of Christ and be reborn, which I was on August 12th of 2018. I was baptized Christian. Ironically enough, that was the girl that I was dating at the time. That is her son's birthday, who I affectionately call my son, even though he's not my son, he's not my DNA. I wasn't married to her, so technically he wasn't my stepson or anything, but I passionately and affectionately call him my son regardless. I'll always feel that way because I came into his life, or he came into my life right around the age of 4.5, 5 years old. He's now 9. So I'd been helping to raise him with her for 4 years roughly. Currently her and I are no longer dating due to my past transgressions, trials, tribulations. I wasn't being a good role model, I don't think. I mean, I wasn't being a bad role model, but I certainly wasn't doing all the right things that I should have been doing, and that I'm very, very capable and able to do, if you're willing, of course. Her and I breaking up was probably a blessing in disguise because I needed some alone time to get right with me. As I mentioned in my first video, I was sober and wasn't drinking. About a month after I made that first video in August, I actually started to drink for about 2 or 3 days. And I got into some minor trouble, which again was another blessing in disguise because immediately after that I was able to self-correct via my own free will and get some help that I needed. I went to a rehab facility to educate myself on substance abuse, and unequivocally I was told basically I didn't need rehab. They kept me for 6 days and then discharged me, and I begged them to keep me for the 28-day residential program. However, my LADAC assessment score wasn't, I guess, high enough for me to qualify for residential treatment. So I was basically sent home. After that, I went home, and shortly after that, a couple days later, I went into a sober living house, and I lived there for about a week, and that was enough for me. I feel, I know now that was enough for me. I needed to see some people with some real issues, heroin addiction and meth addiction and all those things. And I realized that life in that house was not for me. And that's not in a judgment way. I just knew that my being there and living in that house wasn't going to be beneficial to me when somebody else with a lot more serious issues could use that bed. Also, I'll add, I know being in a rehab for a week, and and I wasn't even really like rehab because I wasn't in like residential treatment. It was just a stabilization unit where they monitor you, assess you, and then decide if you need rehab or not. Ultimately, as I said, I was told that I don't need rehab. Basically, go home and stay sober and go to meetings. I told them I had abstained from using alcohol for about 9 months, and even in an area of past use and abuse and an area of trauma, I was still able to abstain from using alcohol for about 2.5, 3 months. And as I stated earlier in my second video, ultimately I did end up going back to drinking for like 2.5, 3 days. Kind of went on a binge drink thing, and that mixed with the prescribed meds that I was taking ultimately got me in a little bit of trouble, and it was minor trouble, but I'm going to call it a blessing in disguise, because God quickly reminded me that lifestyle was not for me, and I was able to self-correct, and I took the necessary steps that I needed to self-correct via going to the rehab or stabilization unit, and then sober living for a while. And I say a while, it was 6 days or whatever.
So she's going to add something to it.
Again, sorry for the background noise. I'm at a Dunkin' Donuts, so forgive me. It's kind of loud in here. I hope you folks can hear me. So ultimately, without getting off course and going down a rabbit hole, I was able to self-correct. So that's what I did. Self-corrected. And I call it a blessing in disguise because I had been wanting to stop smoking weed, and I had abstained 9 months of sobriety from alcohol with a good structured environment where I was living, but due to a breakup and stuff, I landed in a period of displacement, and that landed me back on the seacoast of New Hampshire, which is my prior area of use and abuse with alcohol. And I abstained from drinking for about 2.5 months, 3 months, until ultimately I kind of lost hope, and I decided to go out drinking with an old friend of mine who is still very much a friend of mine, and he will always be a friend of mine. His name's Tyler. He's a great dude, and I'll leave his name out of this, like his full name out of this, but he has had some similar life challenges and life attributes that I have. We were both great athletes growing up in Exeter, and we both partied and struggled with drinking and maybe smoking some weed and whatever. But not getting too much into his business, I'll stay on topic with me. And I have talked to him a lot about some of this stuff, so I'm sure he won't mind any of this being mentioned. I'm just going to abstain from using his last name. I have a lot of friends named Tyler that I went to school with and that played sports. So, with that being said, ultimately I think my going out, my choice, my free will, I was willing to go out and drink with him because I lost a little bit of hope. I was in the area of use and abuse in my past area of trials, tribulations, and trauma, and I made a bad choice to go out drinking, and drinking while taking my prescribed medications certainly had an adverse reaction in my life, and because of that, I ultimately got into some minor trouble, which I'm going to call again a blessing in disguise, because I was able to get sober and completely sober from alcohol, marijuana, and the prescribed medications that I was taking. So, God is good all the time. He doesn't always give you what you want, but He will give you what you need. That's a fact. I am a practicing Christian. I believe in God and Jesus being the Son of God, and I believe He went to the cross for our sins so we could all be granted forgiveness. By God's grace, if you will. So, I won't make this video too much longer. I'll try to wrap this up here without going down another rabbit hole. But, life is what you make it. We all have free will, we all have choice, and we all have the willingness to shift our choices and our life and our free will. And ultimately, you don't have to be a product of your environment. For years and years, I was a product of my environment because I thought I had to be. You don't have to be. You can be a product of whatever you want to be. Doesn't mean you have to be a wannabe either. Just go do it. Go be it. Go be great. Seriously. I'm a black sheep in my family. I stand out like a sore thumb. But you know what? I don't sit out. I used to sit out. I used to not try. Or try 60%, just enough to get by, just enough to get good grades, just enough to stay on the hockey team or the football team or the wrestling team or the lacrosse team or baseball. I played every sport there is known to man: snowboard, golf, football, hockey, wrestling, lacrosse. I've done it all. And I'm not saying that in a form of bragging. I'm just saying that as a reference to my roundedness. I am a utility guy. I can do just about anything at a pretty elite level. Am I proud of that? Yeah, I am. Am I bragging about it? No. I could have been great at one thing. I could probably have been an NHL hockey player if I just focused on hockey and didn't chase girls and didn't chase booze and didn't play football and but that wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be the man that I am today. So, I've always done what I wanted. And this is what I'm going to leave off on. Last night, a friend of mine and a mentor of mine said something to me about giving up. If you hear something or somebody tells you something that you don't want to hear, you shut down or give up. That's all I can do is laugh, because clearly he is sadly mistaken about me. And I thought that this was a gentleman that knew me very well. So I've shared almost everything in my life with him, more so than anybody else. And if he thinks that I give up or I quit because I'm told something that I don't want to hear, he doesn't have a clue. Not one clue. Because I've always done the opposite. Somebody tells me I can't do something, I do it. And, maybe that's his savvy way of firing me up. He's a smart man. Could very well be that. I don't want to assume anything. But I'll tell you this. It fired me up because I've always been told I can't do this, or you're going to be a fuck up, or you're going to be like this, or you're going to be like that. Excuse my language, too, by the way. And then when I'm told no, I do it anyway. He's told me, don't pursue arena football. I started an arena football league called the NEAL, New England Arena League. He told me not to do that. I did it anyway and persevered. So, maybe he's firing me up. I don't know. I don't know what his intentions are, but I know what resonates within me, and it fired me up. So I was telling him about how I wanted to get back into MMA fighting because I have a bucket list, and I'm checking boxes off my bucket list. One was to get back into hockey. Check. I already did it. One was get back into cooking. Yep. Currently working as a chef. One was volunteering. I do that. One was facilitate a Bible study. I do that. Years ago, I got into MMA. I moved to Florida to train at American Top Team. I moved to Fort Lauderdale to stay with my uncle and save some money and get out of trouble. And I knew that I was going down a bad road. So I took off, went to Florida, and I started fighting. And ultimately, I did go back, move back home to New Hampshire for football season because I wanted to play football, and I made that choice. But ultimately, I made that choice because I wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to help my team. They needed me. So I moved back home, and that was a blessing in disguise, too, because after that season, I got in trouble. And he did a little time and time out, if you will, and that was what I needed back then to self-correct. Because my willingness wasn't as strong as it is now. So I was telling him that I want to get back into MMA and give it one last run. I'm 35 years old. I know I can fight. I can fight very well. I can wrestle very well. I do a lot of things very well. Again, this isn't me being cocky. It's just who I am. He told me, hey, fighting game's kind of a grimy industry, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, dude, you know where I'm living right now? You know what's going on in my life right now? Don't talk to me about grimy in a bad area or a bad industry. I'm living in the bad area and the bad industry of my prior use and abuse and trauma. And I'm living it sober by my own free will. I made the shift. I made the change. It's my free choice. It's my free will. And yeah, the MMA game could probably be a grimy industry, but God's in my corner, and I'm going to make the good choices. I'm dedicated, and I'm resilient. Those two words resonate within me. No one's going to make any choices for me but me. So I laugh at the grimy industry, and I laugh at the advice of not getting back into the MMA world. Why? Because my will overcome, and we all have free choice. No one's gonna pour booze down my throat. No one's gonna force me to do drugs. I'll force myself to fight, and that's what I'm doing, fighting. fighting, cooking, volunteering. So my bucket list, that bucket list is getting real small. I gotta start coming up with some new things on my bucket list because I've already crossed getting back into hockey off my bucket list. 2 winters ago, I was in Vegas playing hockey in the MWHL. I have an arena football team. I'm back in the kitchen as a chef. I'm volunteering. I'm back fighting. My dad says, well, Kev, you're a little bit crazy because your pretty face or your straight nose might not be so straight. I said, Dad, I've been crazy my whole life, and my nose isn't that straight. I got scars everywhere. God's in my corner. I have faith in him, and you know what? I highly doubt that anybody at the weight class that I'm going to fight in can harm a hair on my head. That's not me being cocky. That's just my belief in myself. So, without further ado, we soon will find out, because I have a fight coming up the end of December or the beginning of January. It will be a CES fight, I'm told. I have a manager. Shout out Eric, what up? And I'm going to be back in the gym training with Guy Chase. So shout out Guy Chase. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm very grateful for you and Eric. There's a lot of irony in all of this because I was volunteering at a Seabrook community table, which is what I call a soup kitchen. And the night before, two guys actually from American Top Team were fighting in the Garden in the UFC in Boston. One being Charles Rosa, who trains at American Top Team, a gym that I used to go to back in 2009, 2010. And I know his ex-girlfriend, friends with her, I've been friends with her for years. And another guy that trained at American Top Team is Greg Hardy, which most of you know to be the NFL guy or the arena football player, right? He played for the Dallas Cowboys. He was drafted by the Carolina Panthers. He also played for the Richmond Rough Riders, ironically enough, against my team. So there's a lot of irony in that. But, I was watching the UFC fight the other night in Boston, which was Friday night or Saturday night. Yeah, Friday night. And then, I was thinking about Guy Chase. He actually shared some videos from the Garden on Facebook, and I shared them as well. And I thought about Guy Chase, and I was like, I gotta get back into this. And there's another ironic piece of the story, which is Charles Rosa's father, Chucky. He runs and operates Chucky's Fight, which is a program to knock out substance abuse. He helped me get sober. He helped me get into the sober house, sober living. And he's now helping me get back into fighting. He's told me since day one he's in my corner. And let me know if I need anything, and he'll be there. So I'm very grateful for him too. Shout out Chucky's Fight and Chucky Rosa. Shout out Greg Hardy. Shout out Charles Rosa. So the ironic piece in this is with Guy Chase is, the fight was Friday night, and Saturday I went down to the Seabrook Community Kitchen, which is at Trinity United Church. And we were having a harvest supper, and I'm a working chef, and I volunteered there with some of my chef skills to help provide some food for people for the harvest supper. And the night before, I was literally thinking about Guy Chase and watching Charles Rosa fight and watching Greg Hardy fight at UFC in the Boston Garden. I turn around and in walks Guy Chase at the Seabrook community table for the harvest supper. His mother goes to my church, or the church that I currently go to, Trinity United Church, and he walked in with his kids to just have supper. So I had a motivating conversation with him, and right then and there I decided that was a sign from God for me to check that box off my bucket list, which is fight. I've been fighting for myself my whole life. My whole life. People give up on me, people quit on me, but I don't quit on me and I don't give up on me. I've been down and out. I've been stuck under a prison. So, the worst prison I've ever been in was the prison of my own mind. Well, those bars have been cut down and I've been set free because the whole time I had a key right here. I just wasn't opening the right door. Every time I thought I released myself, that key opened a false door or a trap door. Until recently, I have been set free by God's grace in Jesus and my sobriety, and I've been set free from the prison of my own mind. So, like I said, I think that me seeing Guy Chase at that Harvest Supper in the Trinity United Church, after I was just watching the UFC when Charles Rosa and Greg Hardy fought in the Garden on Friday night. I go to volunteer at the Harvest Supper on Saturday, and in walks Guy Chase. What more of a sign did I need? That's a sign from God for me. So, another bucket list item has been checked. I'm back training to fight. When I get in the octagon, when I get in the ring, whatever they have set up for my fight at the end of December or the beginning of January, that's when that empty box on my bucket list will officially be checked. And we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Maybe I get my ass kicked. Not gonna happen, but maybe. We don't know. I don't know. We'll see what God has in store for me. I know this, though. I'm fighting. I'm trying. 100%. Not 60%, not 70%, not 75%. Not just good enough to get by or get through or be average. I'm the black sheep. I stand out so I don't have to sit out. I used to sit out for years. There's no more sitting out. There's no more quit in my fight. And I'm fighting across the board for everything that I desire. I'm serious about life, and I'll do just about anything to get it. Anything to get what I want in life. Anything honorable, anyway. There's some things that I won't do because I'm, like I said, I'm a practicing Christian, and there's just some things that I'm not willing to do to get my desires. But, I feel like I was born to lose, but I'm building myself to win. And I'm only going to crush my goals. I'm never going to crush my dreams. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you on this note. God is good all the time. Keep the Lord in your heart. Don't quit on yourself. If you think that you can do it, go do it. Prove them wrong. Prove yourself right. Only you know. At the end of the day, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look yourself in the mirror when you shave your face and you brush your teeth. If you can see here, I'm cleanly shaven. It feels good to look at myself in the mirror because I'm proud of myself. Pride's a sin. Being proud's not. Keep the Lord in your heart and God bless. Amen. God is good all the time.